back to another episode of Let's Talk Rio. I'm your host, Ismaini. Here with me is Carlos. How are you, Carlos?
Hey, Nini.
So here we are back with one more episode, and we are going to be answering a lot of questions today because we're going to be talking about the top 20 questions first-time home buyers wish they had asked. And we're going to cover all of that. That way you don't wish, you actually did ask, and you're in a very good position to buy. So that's going to be it for today. Lots of good information, so stay tuned. And before we get started, please, if you like this type of content, what we do, Carlos?
Like, share, and follow for more.
Yes, so we can always bring more of this for you guys. And if there's anything in particular you're looking for to listen from us, please let us know in the comments, send in a message, DM us, whatever is the easiest for you. But let us know what would you like to listen to from us the next episode, okay? We love ideas. We always need ideas, so please let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. So as tradition goes, we're going to do our myth of the day. So the myth of the day today, after I get pre-approved, I am guaranteed a home. Carlos. So why is it not true, Carlos? Explain to us.
Well, pre-approval is just the beginning of the process. Yes, your odds are better if you get pre-approved versus, pre-qualified. But a pre-approval doesn't guarantee you're going to get the home. A pre-approval just kind of says, hey, we went over these documents and everything seems to, be in place, but it still has to go through underwriting. The house still has to appraise, title still has to come back clean. And, people do make, we're going to say mistakes. Sometimes they leave their job. Sometimes they buy a car.
Do not.
Sometimes they go and buy furniture for their new house that they just got pre-approved for before they get the house. And then they no longer qualify for the house. So pre-approval is not a guarantee that you're going to get the home.
It's just initial stuff. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. You're not guaranteed a home until you go through the actual mortgage application, underwriting, and receive that final clear to close, which it takes so many different steps. And that's one of the things we actually mentioned in previous episode, where you are supposed to you could even obtain a underwriting approval ahead of time. And even that still does not guarantee you the home because there's appraisal and title to be cleared as well.
And it's subject to, changing circumstances. If your circumstance changes, then so does your approval.
Exactly. If your financial profile picture is no longer the same, that snap of you changes. That's it. Everything could change along the way with you.
Because when you're pre-approved under certain parameters. The moment your parameters change, your approval changes also.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, guys.
Or lack thereof.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're gonna get into it, and today's we are gonna be using a handy dandy presentation to kind of go over all the top 20 questions. And if you guys have questions while you're watching this, please send them over. If you want us to comment on something, please share with us, and we can bring that up to you guys as well. So here we go. Top 20 questions first-time home buyers wish they had asked. Let's go number 1. What is a mortgage? I'll let you answer to that. That's your round.
All right. So mortgage is a legal agreement between you, the buyer, and, for example, me, the lender, which pretty much pledges, the home as security for the loan. So essentially, you uses the property as a guarantee that you're going to pay back. And in the event that you don't pay back, then the bank can take that property back from you and sell it. Normally that's a foreclosure when that happens, and your credit goes bye-bye.
Oh yeah, don't do that, guys. If you're gonna buy a house, make sure you can pay for the house. I mean, the bank's gonna make sure you are able technically to afford, but just make sure you make the payments. That's very important. I think one common question that I can bring it up during this section here that I get from buyers is that, because the bank is giving us the money and we're using the house as their guarantee for the loan, does that mean that the title is going to be in the bank's name?
Right. So the title is going to go under the bank and the buyer's name. So it'll be, 123
It will be
Main
deeded
Street,
to the
owned
buyer.
by, yep. It'll be 123 Main Street. It'll be deeded to the buyer. And then the bank will put a lien on it, which means that if you try to sell it, the bank gets paid first.
Yes.
And then you get the proceeds.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a common question that people just don't understand. Like, oh, do I actually own the house? And yes, you do own the house, but there's a lien on the house to the bank in case you do default or if you decide to sell. That bank has a guaranteed payoff of the amount that they gave you to purchase the property. So that's how title works on mortgages, with purchase with mortgages.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go number 2. What financing options are available? Well, there's many different options, right, Carlos? Depending on each buyer.
Yeah. So you have your conventional or your qualified mortgages, which are 30-year fixed, and then you have your non-QMs. So let's start with your conventional stuff, which is the easy stuff. You have your VA, your FHA, your USDA, your conventional. New construction, but like new construction can fall under a lot of those, so it's not really its own thing. It's just the type of property.
Yeah.
And then you have your non-QMs, which are like your bank statement loan, your DSCR, your asset depletion, your PNL loans, a lot of different options when it goes into the creative financing side. You have your ITIN loans for people that don't have social. You have your foreign national for investors that are from another country and want to invest in the US. So there is a plethora of different loan programs out there.
Yes.
Or financing options.
And then one of the reasons why we want you guys to do a pre-approval, first step is because Carlos or any lender you decide to work with will be able to determine what's the best loan option for your specific situation based on your financial profile, your budget, your savings, your, whatever is the best financial option available to you. That's what they're going to look into your profile and decide and determine. And they're going to let you know here, this is what's going to cost you to go this route, and this is going to cost you to go this route if there are more than one route option available. So
right. Sorry. So I'll give you a perfect, for instance. I was talking to a business owner today, and I was doing my pre-screen, and I'm like, hey, so let me ask you a few questions, get a better differential situation,
Yeah.
And as I'm going through the questions, she goes, I own a business. I'm like, all right, great. How much do you report? She goes, oh, well, I sold, I made like $397,000 last year. I'm like, that's awesome. How much did you tell the IRS you made? She goes, oh, 16,000. I'm like, all right. So
ooh, baby.
Normal programs are out of the way. Let's upload 12 months of bank statements and see how much we can qualify you for that one. So, through our conversation, we could determine, what program you're more than likely you're going to go with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why that pre-approval is so important to help you as the lender qualify that buyer to the right type of loan that makes sense to them.
Yeah, because if it was just a pre-qual, then it would be like you'd call and say, hey, how much you make? Oh, I make $300,000. Great. You're pre-approved to buy whatever you want.
Yeah,
but in reality, when you go, right, then a listing agent doesn't know what they're doing, takes that pre-qual and says, okay, I'll take your offer.
Yeah.
And then the bank says, okay, great, awesome, we got a contract. Send me your taxes. And the bank goes, uh-oh, wait a minute, you told me you made $300,000. He goes, I did. Not according to the IRS, you didn't.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people don't understand, especially like people that are working independent contractors and I work for themselves, is what you report to the IRS is what we need to use to calculate your income. And if you were reporting the bare minimum, which a lot of self-employed people will do that for tax purposes, obviously, that's what's going to be used, and it's going to reduce your buying power. So there are other non-traditional loan types that we can go and assist these buyers in the situations specifically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's too many options to even citing here. I think we have multiple episodes on all the different kinds of loans. So if you guys want to learn more about it, you can search our previous episodes to understand each and every one of them here today. Today we're not going to be touching base on what they are. So if you want to learn about that, please look up our previous episodes, or feel free to reach out to us directly. Give us a call. We'd be more than happy to talk about any one in particular and which one would be best for you.
And like, share, and follow for more if you like this content.
Yes, please do. Alrighty, number 3. What steps do I need to take to secure a loan? So we already just mentioned this, right? You need to do your pre-approval. Well, what does that entail, right? So tell them what's the process of getting that initial loan process started.
Right. So to kind of get the pre-approval started going, the first thing you want to do is you want to complete your application and upload, some very simple documents, pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, recent bank statements, and, anything else that might be required based on your specific circumstance. Yeah. For example, if you don't work, and you're retired and you get Social Security, then instead of pay stubs and W-2, you're going to need an award letter. If you have a pension, you'll need a pension award letter. If, for example, let's say you work for a union, then you're going to need, that good standing letter for the union. So depending on your situation, there's different things that you're going to need. But usually we start with the most basic things. And then as we peel the onion, we'll request different things from the buyers.
Yeah. And one thing that I want to point it out too, like if you watching out there, maybe you are in a different area, might not be able to work with me in particular. But I think that the best way to get started overall, like even before you already have a lender, is connecting with a realtor locally that can assist you, do your research, interview a couple people. And then usually the realtors will have the best connections as far as working with a lender. Now, Carlos can definitely be a reference here for anywhere because he is licensed and able to do business anywhere you're looking to buy. Myself, of course, I'm in Central Pennsylvania. So if you're watching this and you're not in Central PA, please do your research, find a local realtor, and you can still work with Carlos no matter what. So just know this, but I think your very initial first step would be to connect with professionals that are local. Yes, you can try to go to your own bank, but to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, that's not your best option, or is not to your best interest to work with the bank that you bank with. I think a lot of my buyers come to me and say like, oh, I'm just going to do an application with my bank because they already have my information. They know me. They're going to give me the best deal. Technically, they tend to be the more expensive ones. And just because they're good bank to bank with doesn't mean they're good mortgage banks. So just please do your research. Carlos here specializes in mortgages, and that's it. That's all they do. And that's why they are the best at what they do. If you go to a bank that does everything else and is a franchises tend to be more expensive. So just keep that in mind. You might not be to your best interest to work with your bank that you bank with. That's a very common misconception. Maybe we should have done that as our myth of today. Because it's true. Like
ideas for part 2, because apparently this is not going to be a part. This is not going to be a whole episode of the 20
I don't think
questions.
that we're going to go part 2 on this one too. I'm pretty sure.
We might end up doing like 3 or 4 parts on this one.
Oh, God. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that's how you should get started for sure. Connecting with the right people, creating your A team, and then definitely doing the application for your pre-approval to get started and understanding how to proceed from there. So.
And I was gonna say also, like, Nini might not be your realtor because you're in another state or something, but for the most part, the programs are the same and it's the same idea. So if you want to reach out to her, you can, and you can pick her brain. And she knows a lot of people, so she may be able to recommend someone in your local area that you can work with, that she can recommend to you.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because that is very true. Like, we have a very large network of realtors across the country. So right. I would be more than happy to interview even a couple agents on your behalf and find the better one for you to represent you where you're looking to buy. That's something I do all the time. So if you are not necessarily looking in my area, maybe you're looking in Florida, maybe you're looking in Georgia, I can definitely assist you. Or even if it's within PA, but like Pittsburgh area, which is 3 hours away, I can still help you find, a renowned, good agent to work with you over there. So yeah, please, thanks for bringing that up, Carlos. That's definitely something that we can help for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So number 4, pre-qualification versus pre-approval. Oh my gosh, we already talked about this so many times, so I'm gonna let you just kind of reiterate the difference, the importance of one versus the other.
Right. So, like I said, the pre-qual is usually done over the phone, and you can kind of tell me whatever you feel is your reality.
Right.
We'll put it that way.
Your truth.
Whatever you feel is your truth, you can tell me it. But whatever you understand your reality is like, because hey, listen, Carlos, I really am making $300,000 a year. I might not report it, but I'm living that lifestyle. So it's just a very nonchalant conversation where you kind of just tell me where you are financially, and that would be your pre-qual. I don't do pre-quals, so that's, if you were going to get a pre-qual, that's how it would be done. But we don't do those. We do pre-approvals, and with a pre-approval, you'll submit your application, upload your documents. We'll do a soft pull on your credit because we never want to hurt your credit if we can't help you yet. So we'll do a soft pull, structure your application, and kind of, if you're not ready yet, we'll tell you what you need to do to be ready.
Yes. Yeah. And I think one thing to point it out too, just because the bank provided you with a letter that says pre-approval does not mean it is a pre-approval. Okay, guys, because I also get that all the time. Clients will come to me, well, but my fee says pre-approval. I'm like, okay, did you submit documentation to them? No. So it's not a pre-approval, right? Did they do verification of employment? No, it's not a pre-approval.
Right.
Did they do a hard pull on your credit? That's the final question. No. Okay, so that's not a pre-approval.
I would say the hard pull is not necessary because depending on the programs, you can get away with underwriting with a soft pull.
Gotcha. Depending on the situation of the buyer too, if they're like on that little gap, like very small range, right? So,
so like unconventional, you can pre-approve with a soft because you can run underwriting with a soft. If you're going with the government, then you have to go and do an actual hard pull
at some point. See, that's why we have Carlos. But yeah, so make sure you understand the difference. Just because it says it is doesn't mean it is. So understanding how you actually obtain one is important. And just to kind of let you guys know, when we're looking for a home and we're starting to shop more seriously, you do need to have a actual pre-approval letter. Pre-qualifications, even though they say pre-approval, does not allow you to actually put offers on the property. So just keep that in mind. That's a requirement for us to seriously start considering homes. Number 5, what is a credit score and how do lenders use them? That's all you. Today's it's a Carlos episode.
Oh man, I see that. So your credit score is kind of like what you're graded on. Let's put it that way. It looks at your credit history and it gives you a number. And based on that number, the lender or the bank will determine if they're going to give you a higher interest rate or a lower interest rate. The higher the risk, the higher your rate's going to be. The lower the risk, the less the rate is going to be. That's why it's important, that we take a look at your credit, even if it's a soft. If you're not ready, say, hey, listen, we have a mutual client who has some small collections that are really hurting their credit because they're fairly new. And if they pay it's less than $500, if they pay those $500 off and they get it deleted, their credit goes from a 625 to a 709. And now they qualify for down payment assistance and all that stuff. So depending on the program, they're just going to look at your credit score or your number. But some programs will look at your credit profile, not your credit score. So they'll look at how long you had that credit card, how your utilization has been on those accounts, before they decide whether or not they're going to give you a loan under that program.
Yeah, so it's not just about the number, it's a combination of factors, and depending on the program, that can differ as well.
Exactly, yeah. And we go as low as 580 on the credit score, credit score number. Credit scores start from 300 to 450. I'm going to be honest with you, I think the lowest I've seen is like a 408. I haven't seen anybody in the threes, but I have seen plenty of fours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's a little ways to go there, working it up.
And I think I've seen maybe 5 or 6 like 840s and maybe like 1.8. I think I've only seen 1.850 so far.
Yeah, I've seen low 8s. I think the highest I've seen is like 817, which was pretty impressive. Lowest I think was also like low 5s. I don't think I even saw 4 in front of anything. oh,
I've seen 4s.
I bet you see a lot more because you're actually working with people that couldn't qualify too.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Hey, so what is your score? Oh, we both have 800. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You pull it. I'm like, yeah, between the both of you, if you add it up, it's 800.
Oh, gosh.
Actually, you have an 826 together.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, so one thing that maybe to point it out to the audience is that the credit score that's used for mortgage purposes is not what you see on your free apps, your credit score on your bank that it shows there. It is a different number, and it's created based upon the 3 credit bureaus that you have. So Experian, Equifax, what's the other one?
TransUnion.
So it is a mix of the 3, but it's a separate number that is based on those 3. I wouldn't say it's an average, but it's sort of like an average. And then
it's a different model. So different things have different models. So for example, there's a model for credit cards, which is what you see on Credit Karma, all that stuff. Then you have a model for like insurance, and then you have your model for cars, and then you have a model for your mortgages. So what you're seeing on Credit Karma and what I'm pulling can be, I've seen as much as like 150 points off.
Wow. Yeah.
Where people are telling me I got a 750 and I'm pulling a 600.
Yeah. I think that's what people need to understand. Like, what you see doesn't necessarily mean that you may or may not qualify. It could be different for mortgage purposes because the model is different. It gives you an idea, sure. It definitely gives you an idea of where you are at, but it can differ drastically of the actual. So that's why talking to Carlos ahead of time, allowing him to do at least a soft pull to see where you are for mortgage purposes, will better prepare you. And then if you're not quite there, and Carlos can help you get there by giving you insights on what you should be paying it off or not. If there's anything populating that is damaging your credit, like any collections or anything like that you can work on. That way you can get to the point of buying much quicker than if you're just trying to guesstimate on your own, right? So the sooner you talk to Carlos, the better it's going to be for you to get started with your home buying journey.
Right. We'll never tell you no. We'll just tell you not yet. This is what we need to do to get there.
Perfect. I love that. Just not yet.
Not yet.
Yes. And honestly,
not quite.
Not quite yet. Yeah. Yeah. We always have, like, I do my consultations and I send them over to you. And that's exactly it. Sometimes they're ready to go right away and you started the journey of shopping for homes, but sometimes they need a little bit of love, and Carlos is going to work with them until they're ready and then send it right back to me when we're ready to go. So it's never just a no. It's always just like, let's work on it and get to the point where it's a yes, right? So
like that the customers you sent me, I think it was this week or last week, their credit, they're working on their credit, and then on the other end, because they're relocating, they need to make sure that they have their job secured, Yes. So it's not a no, it's a not yet. Give me an offer letter and then you're ready.
I know there's a lot of moving pieces. Everybody's situation is going to be different. And honestly, there's not one little, cookie cutter that fits all. There isn't.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important for you guys to reach out to us and get started sooner rather than later. Not just when you think you're ready, but like right now. Like if you're planning
Don't
for
wait.
Let's start talking right now.
Don't wait until you see the house that you want to buy to then reach out and then see if you're ready. Reach out, get ready, and go buy the house that you want to buy.
Exactly right. The sooner the better every time. We're not going to be pushing you to buy a home. We're going to help you buy a home that you want. Like, so just understand, we're not salespeople. Like, we're not like pushing a home at you. We're just going to help you. We're consulting, right? So we're
educators. We're not salespeople. We're educators.
Exactly. We're educators and consulting. So we're there to support you along your journey to find the right property. So the sooner you start, the better it is every time. Alrighty, number 6. How can I find out information about my credit report? Well, there's different ways to go about this. And you can go, privately and look at the public apps that are available out there. Credit Karma, Says Academy. You also can get, I think once you can get a free report from all 3 credit bureaus.
Once a year.
Once a year. That would be a good one to do it. But if you already did that and used your annual chance to get it, again, you can go to Carlos and he can just do a soft pull and give you a better idea of where you're at too. So different venues, different ways to get about it. Any other things that you think that they can do? They can go about
there's a lot of different programs out there or software where you can look at your credit. But I always say, like, if you're looking to buy a home, let's just do a soft. Let's see where you stand. And then if you need to go to credit repair, I have trusted, like, that's the good thing about like working with Nini and I, is that we have a team. So it's, Nini, the realtor, me, the lender, but then we also have Eric, who does a lot of our credit repairs because he does a good job, he gets results. So you don't want to just go somewhere where they're going to take $100 a month from you for 2 years and you still have the same stuff on your credit. You want somebody who's going to work towards, actually getting you out of that and being able to, buy your home and stop paying rent.
Yeah, exactly. So our A team is here to assist you. So reach out to us and we'll be able to get you squared away. If not now, later. Never not at all.
Not quite.
Not quite. Exactly. So number 7, how do I choose the best loan program for me? Well, Carlos is going to help you with that because he's the one to tell you what's the best option. So you want to take this one?
Sure. Mm-hmm. So like I said earlier, it's all about your situation. So it's all about what income you get. That's going to determine what kind of program we can go with. If you make too much income, then there's some things you're not going to qualify because they're based on income. If your credit is too low, you may not qualify, and then we have to, work on that. But really, like when I talk to people, one of my questions when I talk to them and I know that they're going to qualify for more than they probably want to pay. Yeah. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not going to ask you how much of a house you want because I know you probably don't know, but like, how much are you comfortable paying a month?
I think that's the best question to ask every time. That's what I ask every time. Like, forget about price range. Yeah. Like, what do you want to pay monthly that you're comfortable with, that is not going to, explode your personal budget? That's the best way to approach it.
Yeah. And then they'll say, oh, Carlos, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, listen, like, I don't know your lifestyle. Like, we're just starting to talk here. I don't know if you're the type of person that likes to go to a restaurant every Friday and have a steak, and when you look at your monthly budget, when you look at your monthly budget, you're blowing $800 a month on steaks, because every time you go to a restaurant, it's $200. You know what I mean?
You're talking about yourself, or okay, never
mind. So like if that's important to you, then maybe we don't go and push your budget to the highest, because then you won't be able to afford that steak, and then you're not going to be happy with your house. Exactly. So how much are you comfortable with paying monthly and maintaining your quality of life or your lifestyle to be able to buy a home? And then some people will be like, oh, Carlos, they always hit me with the lowest is the better. I'm like, all right, that's great. Where do you want to live? And then they start telling me, and I'm like, all right, and you want a single family with a 2-car garage, but you only want to pay $1,300. Listen, we're gonna have
to. That's my response as a realtor. Like, I'm sorry.
That's not quite. That's
buy a house back in 1985. Then we can talk.
Oh no, that's not happening. Let's get more realistic. You can realistically afford here. You're probably looking for something that's gonna put you right about here. Your max is gonna be here. You don't have to hit it. It's okay if you want to start looking at properties that are going to show you, that are going to keep you in that price point. But when you see that you're not there, just know that your payment's going to be somewhere around here.
Yeah, I think having these conversations ahead of time, it's really eye-opening for a client to get started, because they need to understand exactly, okay, if I want to get this house, what the realistic expectation of cost is going to be. And that's why the conversations that we have with these clients ahead of time in the very beginning, we're doing our buyer consultations and, pre-approvals, is really for them to also understand what to expect.
It's an eye opener. It's an eye opener for them, because very when they come to you and they're like, oh, Nini, I want the single home with a 2-car garage and I'm paying $1,100 a month. He's going to be like, nope.
Sorry, those sold out just now back in 1996. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, so just understanding that. And I feel like the other thing too about you determining the best programs for them is understanding what their goals are. Because if they are planning on selling this house and moving on to another area or buying another house in 2 years, we're definitely not going to be recommending, maybe grants or programs where they have to pay it back, if they do it in a certain amount of time. So that's kind of like things that we're going to be learning as we speak to them,
right,
and making those better recommendations based on their needs. And everybody's needs are different and situations are different. So different programs may be best for some and not for others based on what that looks like.
And we'll never just tell you like, hey, this is the way you're going. Like, we'll say, hey, look, you qualify for these programs and these are the pros and cons of each program, and let you make that decision. Because like I said, I don't know if you like to have steaks on Friday, at a nice restaurant, and that's part of your budget, like that's something that you need to consider, or like Nini says, like if you say like, okay, your job put you here and you're going to be there for 3 or 4 years, and then you're going to be relocated somewhere else, but you want to start your real estate portfolio. So you're not going to sell, you're going to rent. So you're going to want to get somewhere where it's going to be marketable, where it's going to be easy to rent, and that it's going to cover your mortgage, so that you can go out there and get something else, say in another state, wherever you get positioned next or relocated to next.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors, and the conversations that we have ahead of time and the questions we ask you is really to determine that and to make the best recommendations of the programs that are best fitted for your needs based on those conversations. So that's kind of like the complex answer for this question, I guess. There's a lot involved in this one. So let's go to number 8. What types of loans are available? I guess we kind of covered that in the beginning on question number 2. But I guess there's many to choose from. Like I said, there's different kinds. Do you want to talk about maybe some of the like that first-time home buyer one, conventional, that you have? Because that's a unique one that not many lenders have.
Yes. So yeah. So first-time home buyer programs, that's what everybody asks about first. So those are the programs that we were talking about, where like if you make too much money, you might not qualify. If your credit isn't there, you're not quite there, so you might not qualify. Like Nini said, if you're gonna be selling it and like, let's say less than 10 years, you might not want to go that route because you have to pay that money back.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna be renting it, you're gonna have to pay that money back. There are some programs that are, you can also determine like, hey, listen, like I'm okay. Like, hey, I'm in a rough spot right now, Carlos, and I'm okay with repaying that down the line as long as I don't have to fork it over now. you know?
Exactly.
So then you
Yeah.
can go into a program that's going to have less credit restrictions, less of a credit score restriction, less of an income restriction also, and you can just pay it back monthly. So there are, repayables,
Mhm.
and then there are non-repayables. There are different types of down payment assistance programs, some for first-time home buyers, and like Nini said, some that are not for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Like the one that we have where you can do 1% down, conventional plus closing costs. So what that means is if the house costs 300,000, your down payment requirement is 3,000 versus 15,000, which is what normal conventional will ask for. Or let's say, I'm not gonna get the number right here, but let's say you're going FHA and it's 3.5% down, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like 10,500 down or something
Yeah.
to that extent.
Yeah. A lot more.
So it's a lot better. And the cool thing about that program is that it's not for first-time home buyers, number one, and it's not repayable, and it's instantly seasoned. So if you get that now, let's say your credit isn't the best, but you manage to qualify for that program, and then in a year or so the rates drop, your credit gets better, and now you want to refinance. Well, you're able to do that. You potentially are going to drop. You're definitely going to drop the amount of PMI that you're going to pay, or you might be able to drop it altogether if
Nice.
if you hit enough of an equity
Yeah.
buffer, and your rate is also going to be lower because your LTV is also lower.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity for people that are not necessarily first-time home buyers, like you said, but for people that are low in cash and want to get in a property, and not be tied down to like a first-time home buyer grant program where they have to repay or they're not allowed to refinance. With this program, they can get in, lower cash out of pocket, and they still can take advantage of a refi later down the line or restructuring of any kind, right? So that's
And
a really good option.
another really cool program that I want to mention is like our FHA. So your FHA, normally you have to have the house in really good condition, and stuff like that. But sometimes it's hard to get approved FHA because some listing agents don't favor it, let's say. So
Exactly. Yeah.
you can offer an FHA on a house and say, hey, listen, if this house comes back with mistakes, well, not mistakes, but with repairs
Sure.
required, hey, we can just switch that to a 203K automatically, and then do those repairs. And if it's not like a lot of stuff that needs to be done, we can even do an escrow holdback, and we just hold back hold the escrow from the seller if the seller agrees, to do the repairs. Or I've even had the buyer where they said, hey, listen, I'm going to take care of it. They go out there and they get the bids for the work. We'll hold, 50% over the most expensive bid. And then once it's done, the contractor gets paid and the money gets released back to the buyer or seller, whoever is the one that's going to be responsible for the repairs. So that's something really cool that a lot of people don't necessarily know about or thought about, or like a lot of people right now are struggling, to get their offers accepted. I say, hey, go and get the ugliest house in the nicest neighborhood.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up because the FHA 203K is something that is not very spoken about, and it is one of the best tools that we can have in our toolbox as agents. And this is a shout out to agents out there that are not used to this, not taking advantage of this too, because it doesn't have to be just from repairs. Like if your clients are struggling because they're always going for the prettiest house on the block that has 20 offers, tell them, like, that one that their carpet was green, pink, red, and nobody wants it, but the layout and the size and everything else is great. Well, let's go get that one. And then you can get the budget from the renovation to buy it. Most likely it's going to be cheaper anyway. You're not going to have to compete. And with the FHA 203K, whenever you switch to that, or even if you start with that from the beginning, you can go 110% of the appraised value and use that 10% now to do all those renovations that you were probably going to do it anyway, but as part of your loan, as part of your purchase process, so you don't have to take money out of pocket to do it later on. And you will be done as soon as you close. You can already have a contractor come in, do the painting, the carpet, the ugly bathroom, whatever it be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if it under appraises, you can switch it to a 203K. Say you're just gonna fix and get rid of the rugs or whatever, and put a
Yeah.
floor in, and
Yeah.
now that house qualifies because of that 110 buffer that you're talking about also.
Exactly. So it is definitely a great tool to have if you want to try to stay competitive with a buyer that is only able to qualify for FHA, or if a buyer is struggling to get a property because they're going for the prettiest one. Let's open their minds to the idea that hey, you can still have the pretty house but for lower price, and then just use a FHA 203K renovation loan and get those repairs done yourself. Within the purchase process. So many different options. You can use it for shortage of appraisals. You can use it for repairs. You can use it for just cosmetic updates. I mean, it doesn't have any restrictions. So that's the beauty of the 203K. You can also do for VA loans. The only thing with the VA loans, though, and I learned this recently, is that it's not 110%. It's only 100%. So you don't get that 10% extension on a VA. But it can also be used with VA loans. So if you want to do the same, idea of, hey, let's get a house to the renovations to do the purchase, you can do that with VA too, just not taking advantage of the 10% extra on appraisal.
Correct.
Yeah. Alrighty, that was great. That was great that you pointed that out. That's good information. Number 9, what is locking in a rate? Oh, that's a good one. You take over.
All right. I hope the next 10 have more real estate stuff than mortgage stuff.
Maybe.
With my luck, we'll see. No, so usually when you're pre-approved, right, you're pre-approved with the rate, and the rate is floating. The rate doesn't get locked until there's an address to lock the rate with. But we don't lock the rate right away when you go under contract. If the market is good, we'll float the rate, for as long as possible, to kind of let you ride down the market. And then once we lock it, that's what rate you're gonna have for 30 years. So that's what locking the rate is, because the rates fluctuate every day. The market goes like this, and you want to catch it on a here and not on a here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's something that people just don't understand. Like when you get the pre-approval, your rate is not yet locked in. So that rate that the lender is telling you, hey, this is what we foresee you having it.
Right.
It is just as subjective, because it is out as of that day that they did their pre-approval for you. And that's going to change most definitely once you actually find a home, get on the contract, and now we start looking into locking that rate in. Because the lender's not allowed to lock it in until you are officially under contract, meaning your offer was accepted, or seller, and you sign a contract, and that's it. That's when the lender's allowed to do that. And Carlos has been great with all of our previous clients about, like he said, floating throughout the contract and finding that perfect day or window of time where the rate's the lowest and the best option for you. So locking your rate, that's what it means. And usually, what's the time frame that you're locking your rates for?
So it depends on the client, it depends on the transaction, it depends on the market. If the market is very volatile, we're going to lock it from the very beginning. If we have a 30-day contract, we're going to lock it for 45 days to make sure that we secure that rate. Usually if the market is good, I'll float the rate till about 10 days before closing, because then we have to redisclose, we have to get a CD out, we have to resubmit, we're not going to get clear to close without the rate being locked and all that stuff. But another thing I want to mention is that we do have programs that kind of, or software, that we pay for, that kind of update us on the market and kind of let us know, like, hey, the market is doing this. It might turn around not in your favor. It might be a good time to lock now. And if, let's say I'm 20 or 25 days till we close, I'll call the client and I'll be like, hey, so I just got an alert to lock. I'm going to leave it up to you whether you want to lock it or not. This is your price as of today. If you want to lock it, I'll lock it for you right away. If you feel like this is just temporary and the market's going to get better, it's just, coming down to go back up higher, then, we can ride that wave because we have enough time and the market hasn't been doing anything too crazy recently. And some people are like, hey, Carlos, I'm going to float it. I'm going to take the risk. You know, like there was this one client I closed in Florida, I think about like 2 months ago now. He was very rate conscious. He would follow the market with me and was like, hey, you know, like I think this is going to be good for us and this and that. I'm like, all right, great. I said we were getting close to his closing time. I think we were like maybe like 2 weeks out, and I got an alert to lock, and he didn't answer my call because he's a business owner. So he was like in a meeting or whatever. He didn't answer my call, and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna chance it. I'm gonna lock it. You know, because I don't want to risk it. And then he calls me back. He goes, hey, I saw I missed your call, whatever. I say, hey, man, I got an alert to lock. I locked your loan. And he goes, no, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to lock my loan yet. I was like, all right, great. Well, at least I locked the loan, so I protected it. But I'm also able to release the lock and let it float again if it's the same day. So as long as I do it before 4 p.m., like if you tell me before 4 p.m., hey, I don't want to lock, release it, I can release it and let it float again until you're ready to really lock it so that we can close. Yeah,
no, that's good for people to understand how that works. And I think that one thing that they need to understand too is that there's a cost associated with that lock as well, especially when it comes to having to extend a settlement. Like if the settlement date changes and now we're past that lock period and need to extend it, that can have a cost associated with that extension. Do you want to try to just explain a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so that actually happened with this customer. Because it did, because once we locked it, we only locked it for 15 days because we were so close. And I asked him, like, because the shorter the lock, the less amount the client will pay for that rate.
The lock itself.
So you're gonna get a better price on your rate when you're locking 15 versus when you're locking 30 versus you're locking 45, 90, you know, whatever it is. The more you're locking, the more you're hedging against the market, the more the bank is going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
What happened with this one was that when we were getting, we were
out to the wire.
No, listen to this. We were getting like the final documents from title, and then it turns out it was in a condo with the HOA. The HOA got a lawsuit against it.
Oh no!
Or a lien against it because of some work that was getting done that I guess the HOA said it was $300,000 worth of work, and the people were saying it was $1 million worth of work that was done to the property.
Jeez.
So then we had to extend. I'm like, hey, listen, like this is gonna cost you, so you need to figure out like if you're not gonna close for 30 days, that we can release it and we just, you know, relock wherever the market is, or you can just extend, you know, until you're ready to close. And I think he ended up extending like 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
So, you know, and there is a cost associated to that. I think it was like 2 basis points a day or something like that the lock usually costs when you extend.
Yeah. So definitely something to understand and think about it, especially, you know, considering the time frame of processes and whatnot. So today, guys, I think that's going to be it for this episode because we are definitely pushing closer to the hour. I'm going to stop here because I know the next topic is going to probably take a few minutes to explain too. So we're going to stop here and we're going to see you guys then on part 2 of this episode. So stay tuned. We're going to come back and you guys can, you know, learn more yet about everything that you should be knowing and asking questions about before you get started. So I'll see you guys on part 2 of this episode.
Like, share, and follow for more.
Like and share and follow for more. I'll see you guys.
See you.